Welcome to the Sacramento City Teachers Association Distance Learning Conference Call. My name is Darrell, and I'll be your operator for today's call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, we will conduct a question-and-answer session. During the question-and-answer session, if you have a question, please press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to David Fisher. David, you may begin.
Thank you, Darrell. Good afternoon. My name is David Fisher, the president of the Sacramento City Teachers Association and the parent of 2 students in Sac City. I'd like to thank the teachers, parents, and media for joining us to discuss these important issues that touch our students and families. Exactly 1 month ago today, approximately 2,300 teachers in Sac City held their last in-person classes for the 1920 school year. And since schools have closed, teachers in the district have continued every day to teach students using their experience, professional training, and creativity. In some cases, they have done this over the protest of their own principals, who told them to wait for direction from the district's central office. Since schools closed on March 13th, Sac City teachers have engaged with their students more than 1 million times. Sometimes that engagement has been a simple phone call, a text, or a Zoom call, or an email checking up on the well-being of their students. At other times, it's been like C.K. McClatchy, high school teacher Samantha Archuleta, who at her students' request reads classic children's stories to her high school students. This is a warm reminder that even many high school students who otherwise present the face of youthful invincibility are, like all of us, haunted by the reach of this international pandemic. In thousands of innovative and creative ways, Sac City teachers continue to teach. And that's a point you will repeatedly hear from each of this afternoon's speakers. Teachers want to teach. The 4 weeks since the schools have closed have been challenging and traumatic time for our students, their families, our community, and for teachers and other school workers. The day before schools were closed, a dedicated teacher and a retired career Sac teacher, one of our members, who continued to serve our district as a substitute, unfortunately became the first teacher in the country to pass away from complications due to coronavirus. It is painful to see our students struggle as many parents lose their source of income and students are thrust in the role as providers for their families, working in fast food restaurants or taking jobs delivering groceries or other delivery services. Some are also called upon to provide childcare to younger family members, all while trying to maintain their own studies. Even before the decision was made to close schools, teachers went to great length with the leadership of Sac City Unified School District to, in the words of Governor Gavin Newsom, I quote, continue to provide high-quality educational opportunities to students to the extent feasible, end quote. We had to push the district to close the schools, even after our Sac City colleague passed away. Time that could have been spent working on distance learning was wasted convincing district leadership of the need to keep schools closed, while other school districts had made swift decisions. At the same time, we were frustrated by the district's resistance to move into a more focused discussion on developing a distance learning model that would work in Sac City. One major impediment was the lack of availability of Chromebooks with internet access for students. To address this deficiency, on March 30th, SCTA proposed to use $1.8 million in health plan savings that were part of the SCTA-SCUSD collective bargaining agreement to buy thousands of Chromebooks for students. To our complete surprise, the district rejected our Chromebook proposal because, as we learned from the Sacramento Bee, the district had reportedly ordered 20,000 Chromebooks the week before, news that it kept from everyone until after we made our proposal on March 30th. Shortly thereafter, the district began to assure us that it would have Chromebooks for every student who needed one by April 13th. It turns out that was not true. Nearly 3/4 of all Sac City secondary students, 14,000 students, were not even offered a Chromebook. Additionally, the district retreated from its guarantee that every student who needs a Chromebook would be provided one by April 13th. Even among elementary schools, where the district has focused its initial distribution, Chromebooks are limited to one per family rather than one per student, no matter how many students reside in that household. The district now reports that Chromebooks are back ordered and will be arriving over the next few weeks. Had the district been more transparent and collaborative, perhaps elected officials, business leaders, and educational unions could have worked together to meet the needs of students. The effort to move a distance learning model is challenging, and our district is not alone in facing this daunting task. With 40,000 students who speak more than 50 languages, with more than 70% of our students eligible to receive free and reduced lunch because of poverty, Sac City challenges may be greater than most other school districts. But where the district appears to stand alone is its unwillingness to work with teachers to move forward together to implement a distance learning program that continues to provide high-quality educational opportunities for all students to the extent feasible. On April 1st, Governor Newsom issued a framework for labor management collaboration, serving local communities during the COVID-19 emergency, which SCTA endorsed, as did the California School Board Association and every major association of school employees and the state's educational units. If ever there was a time for teachers in the district to, in the words of Governor Newsom's framework for labor management collaboration, work together to find the best path for the students, the staff, and communities, that time is now. Unfortunately, the district rejected Governor Newsom's framework, the only district in the region that has taken such a stance. And even though school board member Darrell Wu serves on the governing board of the California School Board Association, an endorser of that framework. Sac City administrators even rejected an offer from County Supervisor Phil Cerna to help bring teachers and the district together in an effort to mutually develop a distance learning program that provides the best education possible to Sac City's 40,000 students. If any one of us was asked to design a distance learning program for 40,000 students, we think reasonable people would agree it would take longer than just a few weeks to develop such a program. The task is now further complicated by the district's acknowledgement late last week of its inability to provide Chromebooks to every student who needs one by April 13th. It's even further compromised by a recent communication from Superintendent Jorge Aguilar threatening to take legal action against teachers that do not immediately cease and desist providing voluntary technical support to students and parents who may need help with computers, internet access, or connectivity issues. We have more than 190 teachers who have already volunteered for the SCTA technical support community, an invaluable resource just waiting to help students. In Sac City, as administrators are today admitting, we do not have the infrastructure to carry out this monumental task of moving a bricks and mortar school system to the virtual world. While Sac City is not alone in this situation, what makes it different from most other school districts throughout the region and even the state is its unwillingness to work with teachers who simply want to teach, and its lack of transparency regarding the steep hill we all need to climb together. And again, while Sac City teachers have been doing their best to provide continuing education to their students with limited support and sometimes actual discouragement from Sac City administrators, we thought since today was the first official day of distance learning in Sac City, we would share some firsthand experiences. First, we'll hear from teachers who teach at elementary, middle, and high school levels, respectively. Then we'll hear from a Sac City middle school PE teacher who also happens to be an elected school board member in a neighboring school district. Finally, we'll hear from one of the most active parents in the district, someone who has spent countless hours in the district's Bond Oversight Committee, its Local Control Accountability, or LCAP, Advisory Committee, and who has been a PTA president and everyday volunteer in his children's school. We'll try to do this relatively quickly, so we have time for questions at the end. Let me turn it over. Actually, let's start with Lori Jablonski, social studies teacher at CKM McClatchy.
Hi, I teach high school. This is Lori Jablonski. I teach high school at McClatchy, which is the largest school in the district. We have just under 2,500 students. I have a principal who gave us no guidance through this transition process because of the fact that the district had no guidance to give him. So we received no guidance from the principal about how to move forward. So the teachers at my school created a mutual assistance program for ourselves, how to get us up to speed on Google Classroom, how does Zoom work, how do we do lesson planning, how do we reach out to kids who don't have online access. So we've been doing that ourselves for about 2 weeks. We've done, I think, a pretty good job of getting our nearly, 95 teachers or so ready to go technology-wise. We've spent a lot of time reaching out to our students. Even with that, we think that about a third of our students have no access at all. It may be actually higher. A third might be lowballing that figure. So I thought what I would do is read an email that I got today at 12:30 in the afternoon from a mother of one of my 9th grade students. And this is what the email says. How can blank, that blank is their student's name, how can blank get a Chromebook? he really needs one because we have one phone for our whole family, and he can't do his work until he gets a computer. Now, I haven't talked to her yet. I'm gonna answer her email when this call is over, but I can't really tell her anything about when she's going to get a Chromebook because we have no idea when those Chromebooks are going to come in. So I can't give her a date next week or 2 weeks from now. I can give her nothing. The district did come out on Thursday with something that it called a hybrid proposal, which was basically that we could provide packets of work, we could do conference calls, we could text message, but they provided no way to do this, no ability to get on school campus to get textbooks or to make packets, no idea how we would distribute those packets to our students, and in some cases, some of my colleagues, it might be 50 students they would have to get packets to. There was no plan for this hybrid proposal. It was just something that came out on Thursday with nothing. And then on top of that, the district threatened to sue teachers on Friday for offering tech support and help to parents and students and even to one another. And so all of those emails that I've been fielding and my colleagues have been fielding all weekend about how to get the kids on Google Classroom and how to hook into all of this technology. The districts threatened to sue individual teachers and SCTA who were providing that support. So that's called outside the scope of my employment. So, the first day was challenging, and I did manage to talk with a few of my students, and that was sunshine in an otherwise kind of dark cloud that unfortunately has been over the district throughout this entire transition. So that's my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Appreciate that. Next, I'm going to go to Victoria Carr, who's a science teacher at Fern-Bacon Middle School, also has 3 children in our district. Victoria?
Hi. As David said, my name is Victoria Carr, and I teach at Fern-Bacon. A couple of the things I've been seeing is with students who have been emailing me because they're using a caretaker or parent's phone, or the kids who have, I use an app called Class Dojo, who their parents are responding that way, and they continue to ask me for computers, and it's heartbreaking because they're like, I just want to make my grade up, Ms. Carr. When can I get a computer? And I have to just keep telling them we have to wait until the district lets us know because our principal's ready. She has computers for you, but the district's not letting her release them. One of the biggest issues for me during this process, being a mother of 3 children in the district, is I have access to technology, but it's making sure that my kindergartner can use a computer now in a way that he's supposed to use it to do his schoolwork. My 2nd grader, who uses a computer occasionally in class, but now fully using it, and then also meeting the needs of all 3 of my children in their different grade levels, helping them with their work, answering parent emails, parent messages, responding to my students who are now having to communicate with me via Google Classroom, and then also still communicating with my team so that we can plan to meet the needs of our students, because we did assign work, but we made it so that the kids didn't need technology. But in order to see the work we gave out, they needed the technology. So this has been really difficult. It's stressful as a parent teacher to make sure I'm meeting the needs of my children so that they're ready for next year, and then also meeting the needs of my students so that they're ready for next year. It's unfortunate that the district, when they gave out their plan, only said math and English. They didn't even include any other subjects in there. We kind of just have to fit ourselves in there. But just really ensuring that our students get their needs met through this process without the district's support, without the district providing what they said they would provide to our students. I've had teacher friends who are in elementary who are contacting me who are now having to use technology that they haven't used before. So this has just been a really difficult process with very little support and assistance from the district. And it shouldn't be this way because we are serving our students, and if it had been their children, this would have been solved on day one. It would have been taken more seriously. And it's not fair that all of these children are not as important to our district, yet they wanted to be on a board to serve these children. So that's my part. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Victoria. I appreciate that. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Preston Jackson. He's a PE teacher at Cal Middle School. Also has a unique perspective as an elected school board member for Washington Unified School District in West Sacramento. Preston?
Thank you, David. I'll need to preface my comments by saying this, is that, first of all, even though I do serve, I'm actually the board for Washington Unified, the comments that I will make are just strictly from my point of view as an individual board member. I'm not representing Washington Unified in any way, shape, or form, but these are just my observations in the experiences as a teacher in Sac City and at Washington Unified. That being said, this has been an interesting journey the last month, because as on March 13th, when the decision was made to close our schools and what we thought was only going to be for a few weeks, I was able to see the operations from different sides, from as a teacher in one district and as a board member in another. It's a complete contrast in how things have been done, and it's quite frustrating because in Washington Unified, we were able to come to an agreement very early on with all of our labor partners on how we were going to address the pandemic, which we thought was only going to be for a few weeks, until we found out that it was going to be extended, and we were able to pivot very quickly to make sure that all of the students in Washington Unified that needed Chromebooks had access to Chromebooks. I believe we got the last of our Chromebooks out last week. My children who attend school in Washington Unified were actually sent home with packets of work for the initial 3-week period in which we thought our schools were going to be closed, leading up into our spring break, which ended in last week, similar to Sac City. The frustrating part is that it's been frustrating because we have worked very, very diligent and very hard and very collaboratively with our teachers, helping our teachers develop plans, helping our teachers making sure that our sites were able to get the Chromebooks in the hands of our most neediest students first, and then working after that. In fact, on the March 13th, when our schools were closed here as well, all of our high school students went home with Chromebooks. They had Chromebooks in their hands when they left school that day. And so, and now seeing it from the Sac City perspective, it's frustrating as a teacher to see how things can be done and how quick things can be moved. Once the parties come together and once the parties come to a true decision, a true conclusion in this together, and we need to figure this out together, and we work together to make sure that we are doing what is absolutely 100% in the best interest of our children. And it's frustrating because with a lack of direction, I see a lack of leadership, a lack of direction, lack of planning on one side, whereas on the other side, where we had plans, and if we didn't have plans, we were very quick to develop plans to help move things forward, to make sure that all of our kids, particularly our most needy kids, our special education kids, our homeless and foster youth, making sure that those children are going to be taken care of, so we're not doing things to try and to further the achievement gap, where they worked very diligently to try and make sure that that gap is closed, if not limited as much as possible. And so it's quite frustrating as a teacher to be on this end of it and still having a school of almost 1,000 kids where they don't have Chromebooks. I have 180 students in my class, and about a quarter to 30% of them still have to get to log into Google Classroom. It makes me wonder, are those the kids that are waiting around at home, waiting for computers or waiting for instructions or for what it is that they're supposed to do now that we're in this distance learning model? And that's extremely frustrating.
Okay. Thank you, Preston. Appreciate that perspective. Next, I would like to go to Melissa Reynoso, who is a 6th grade teacher at Hubert Bancroft Elementary. Take it away, Melissa.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to let you know about a little bit of the history as those first 3 weeks before Easter break. We were first told that the schools were going to get disinfected, and so my administrator had told us we were not supposed to come to campus because of the cleaning crews that would be disinfecting the school. We were all, as a whole nation and a world, were learning about how this virus was causing such peril to so many people. And I personally had a lot of fear and anxiety, and I know that the teachers that I worked with did as well, and I'm certain that my students did. When we did get to see one another from across the hallway, and we would holler at one another asking, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your class? Have you heard what we're supposed to do? Nobody had gotten any direction from any of our leaders, and we were basically told to just, do your best or wait and see. And some of our teachers started in with Zoom. Some made packets. I asked for textbooks to give to my students, but there's no system to give the children their textbooks or to pick them up. So I did start a Google Classroom and some Zoom. And my experience was to try to keep the children calm in spite of the fact that I was not calm. I had a lot of fear, and I wanted to try to connect with kids by asking them questions like, what'd you eat for breakfast? Or have you gone outside today? I teach elementary school where I'm trying not necessarily to work on academics, but more so on their social and emotional well-being. Meanwhile, I'm waiting for direction from my district. No direction ever has come. We have asked for a plan. We've asked for whatever it is that we could do with our kids. We received as teachers a very wordy plan that, frankly, I tried some of the things on the plan, and it really was difficult to implement the online learning with kids, even though kids had computers, because they had questions. They didn't understand what they were doing. It's not the same as what we've been doing in class, and it was very hard for me to even answer them. So I tried to do more simple things, like having them do journals or having them work on programs that they've already familiar with. We found out the same day as the community, which was Sunday, basically a little more direction of a plan. But in my opinion, the plan is still very loose, we had no preparation time for it, not their plan, because for 3 weeks I had been trying and working with things on my own, and it didn't look the same as what the district had made a plan for. I didn't have the time because I was notified at 8:30 Sunday night what the district's plan was. So today, my first day of distance learning, 22 of my students showed up at the Google Classroom, and 10 of them actually did a little bit of actual schoolwork, and I had one parent that asked me a question. So it is my belief that our community it probably feels a little bit like me, that they're powerless and that we missed the opportunity that we should have taken advantage of a month ago, and that basically I've heard the phrase commonly, well, it really doesn't matter what we do because school's basically out for this till summer. So that's my chief concern, is that we're spinning our wheels right now.
Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate that. And finally, I'm turning it over to Terrence Gladney. He's a parent of a student at John F. Kennedy High School, also on the CSUSD Bond Oversight Committee, and has previously served on the district LCAP committee. Terrence?
Thank you, David. My daughter is a sophomore at John F. Kennedy High School. I've been appreciative to those of her teachers that have maintained communication with her since school closed. I think she went through maybe a couple days right after the 13th, that Monday and Tuesday, where it was just she was out of school. But teachers did start to reach out And looking at the district's plan as far as starting, the 13th to reestablish communication between teachers, if I compare and contrast that with other school communities that I've seen outside of our district, the one thing that I can say that others have done consistently is maintaining the relationship between the school and the families. And I think that it's inconsistent with the district's priorities to wait a month and then reestablish connections when the opportunity was there to allow teachers to continue with the encouragement and support of the district to maintain those relationships, even if it's just a quick hello to say, we're thinking about you and we don't have a plan, but something is in place. I got a communication from my daughter's principal last night at 7 p.m. that said we don't have enough Chromebooks or computers for the kids, but they're able to log in via smartphone. Because I have a technology background, we have multiple computers in my home. So my daughter, she was able to actually work on a paper she had due today. She was able to complete that with her own device. In contrast, my sister has 3 kids in the district. 2 of them are at Caroline Winslow, and they only were distributed 1 Chromebook for the 2 students. And my nephew is a 3rd grader, and my niece is a 6th grader. So they will either be alternating, that device between themselves, or if my other niece that's in middle school, Sam Brandon, is not using my sister's device, then they may at that point have 2 devices. So I think it highlights gaps in equity that we already knew existed. But to think that kids, if my daughter did not have access to that technology, she would have had to write her multi-page paper on a smartphone. And unfortunately, I've seen that happen, many times over with some of the kids I mentor. And I think that it is a delayed response on our district's part to try to identify those equity gaps now that we're a month removed from schools being closed. So that's been a really frustrating part for me. And as an advocate for parents and families, I can just imagine what families are going through across the entire school district. It just feels, I'm really just sad because we had a month where the communication was, here are our resources to sort of pass the time. Here are online resources that you may partake in, but there was no plan behind that. And then, just me being optimistic, saying once the plan does come out, it will be more refined. And here we are a month after schools have closed, and we have not really moved the nozzle forward at all. So it's extremely disappointing that we as a district didn't do what some other districts did and sort of plan ahead, be aggressive early, and move forward. Even if we didn't have a plan, just move forward with something so that we could develop as we went along. And now we've waited a month, and we still don't have anything that's refined that I as a parent can take and move forward with to support my daughter or anyone else that I'm in contact with. Okay.
Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that perspective. Open up for questions in a second. I just want to reiterate kind of what you heard. Our district is just choosing, I guess, to go it alone without working with its teachers. And then, that's problematic on its face. And then it reemphasize or reiterate what Melissa said, the plan, in quotes, to do this came out to our teachers about 8 or 8:30 last night. And it appears at this point the only clear direction that teachers have gotten is to cease and desist from helping families with their technology. With that, I'll turn it back over to Daryl, and we can answer questions.
If anyone has a question, you can press star then 1 on your touch-tone phone. We have a question from Sasan Morar from the Sacramento Bee. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. So in terms of the cease and desist letter, some of us reporters were speaking with the district earlier today, and they were explaining that they were concerned that providing, tech support, they were already hoping to provide tech support in an official capacity from the district, and that it wasn't anything against teachers. When they wrote the letter, they just wanted to have a clear communication with parents that the tech support will come from district officials. I wanted to get comment on that.
So this is Lori.
Lori, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is Lori. I have the letter up in front of me, and there could have been many ways the district could have clarified the tech support situation, what they were going to offer. They could have done an email saying the district is, this is how we're doing tech support. We would like to be the first call for tech support. No, what they did is they sent a letter that actually says that liability will rest with teachers who are providing support for their students. It was cease and desist. It was a legal letter. So that just rings false, what they're saying. And as somebody who has provided a lot of support for students and parents and continues to do so, I really feel like my superintendent, my boss, has threatened me with potential legal action. I kept this letter on my desktop because it's just so outrageous.
Thank you, Lori. I mean, if you have the letter, what she's referring to, there's a sentence near the end that says, to be clear, any district employee who provides technology support to district students as a community volunteer does so without the district's consent and such services outside the course and scope of their employment. And it goes on to say they'll take legal action. By the way, in some of the paperwork that the schools were giving out when they handed out some of the computers, they would say, if you have a problem with technology, ask your teacher. So that's happening on the one end. On the other hand, we're being threatened with a lawsuit. By the way, like Lori said, if there was some technical issue with or concern, they could have picked up the phone or just say, hey, we have this issue. They never did. We just got this legalistic cease and desist letter to threaten their teachers. But thank you for the question.
A superintendent and a school board that are working collaboratively with their frontline employees don't send cease and desist letters.
And did you say that you had a good amount of teachers offering tech support? I think I heard that earlier in the call, that you had already pulled together quite a few teachers. What was that number again? I'd have to look up on our group, but last time I checked, it was 193 that are in the tech support group, private group. Again, this started because our members have expertise and we're not being asked to do anything. We hadn't talked to the district for a week and had no idea what their plan was, and so we said, well, we have so many teachers with expertise, let's move forward. And so we had volunteers who we had spreadsheets of what they were expert on and their contact information, next thing we know, we're getting a cease and desist letter. So.
And this is Terrence. From a parent's perspective, and also because I'm also very active as an advocate and volunteering, I volunteer a lot at the elementary school where my kids used to go. I've been at the school, and teachers are asked every day to be the tech support, because when the front office or a classroom needs support, it can be anywhere from a week or longer before they get those responses answered. So because I have a technology background, I've been on school campuses where I, just as a volunteer, have went in and had to support the teacher in getting Chromebooks and iPad carts ready for the students to learn, because it is such an intensive process. And sometimes that could take up to 30 minutes to an hour just to prepare the devices for the kids to be able to support them. So I offer my support to the district indirectly to offload that load for them, because my concern is that parents and students are successful in this new model, and I've seen it from another standpoint as well as technology professionals, some of the gotchas, and I also offer my assistance to SCTA, and I offer to be a part of that curriculum. But I think that it's sort of inconsistent that we ask teachers every day to be technology support for their students and for their school, but then in this environment now where we're putting an additional 20,000 devices out into the community that the district does not have control of every day, that we don't want to get the additional support when they can't even support the devices that are in the school, in the brick and mortar environment. I don't understand that.
And we'll move on to the next question. Once again, if you have a question, it's star then one on your touch-tone phone. And we have a question from Sarah Vieja from PRWRK. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, this is Sara Villegas, news reporter with NBC Telemundo. Thank you guys for this interview. I don't know if David Fisher and a teacher are available to give me any comments in Spanish, of course, for all our Hispanic Latino parents that are like really worried.
Sí, como no. No sé si quiere ahora mismo o más tarde, pero yo podría tratar. You just want general comment or a specific question?
Yeah, I mean, basically, how everything went today and before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the questions that you guys have and all of teachers and parents. So yeah, I don't know if we can do it right now.
Okay, I'll just try to brief in Spanish. Okay, bueno, aquí yo soy un maestro de segundo grado, también soy presidente del sindicato de Sacramento City Teachers Association, y hoy empezamos nuestra lo que se llama Long Distance Learning o aprendiendo de distancia, y el problema que tenemos es que el distrito no ha cumplido con sus promesas a dar computadoras a todos los estudiantes. Entonces, los maestros trataron de enseñar a los estudiantes hoy y también antes de hoy, pero no tenemos suficientes computadoras. El distrito había dicho antes que todos los estudiantes iban a tener acceso a computadoras y hasta ahora menos que 30% de los estudiantes tienen acceso. Y también el distrito no puso un plan completo hasta 8:30 domingo ayer para los maestros. Entonces, nosotros los maestros estamos haciendo lo mejor que podemos, pero falta la computadores y otros problemas están poniendo barreras en nuestra capacidad a ayudar a los niños.
David, y por último, ¿cuál ha sido el mayor reto desde antes, como usted lo menciona? Desde antes ha intentado estar educando a los niños, pero pienso yo que es difícil, ¿no? Que un anuncio que se da tan solo horas de comenzar a enseñar, a comenzar un programa nuevo de educación. ¿Cuál ha sido el mayor reto para todos ustedes?
Bueno, el problema más difícil para nosotros es la tecnología, que los estudiantes no tienen, o muchos no tienen suficiente tecnología. A lo mejor tienen un celular o una computadora, pero en la casa posiblemente hay 4 o 5 estudiantes y eso no es suficiente. Y es imposible enseñar con esta distancia sin suficiente computadoras. Eso, y el otro reto que hemos tenido es que el distrito no ha trabajado con los maestros para desarrollar un plan. Y el plan vino a nosotros, a los maestros, a las 8 en la noche. Y hoy mismo estamos tratando de implementar ese plan, pero sin mucha ayuda y sin las computadoras que son necesarias para cumplir ese reto muy grande.
¿Y qué les han podido hablar con el superintendente?
No, el superintendente no. Él no ha hablado con nosotros todo ese proceso y todos los juntos que tuvimos, él nunca estaba en ninguna de la junta con nosotros. Y nadie en el distrito ha hablado con nosotros, los maestros, por más que una semana, desde el 3 de abril, un viernes, y después ellos empezaron a hacer su propio plan sin ayuda de los maestros.
Perfecto. No sé si hay algo más que le gustaría agregar. Si no, es todo por mi parte.
Por ahora está bien, pero si quieren llamar más tarde o algo así, está bien.
Ok, perfecto. Gracias. Thank you.
De nada.
And if anyone else has a question, it's star then 1 on your touchtone phone. Once again, star then 1 on your touchtone phone. If anyone has a question, it's star then 1 on your touchtone phone. And we have no more questions at this time.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Can you guys all still hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
You guys were great. I appreciate it so much. It took a lot of our afternoon, but everyone did great, and I really appreciate you taking your time. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to reach out to me personally, you guys all have my contact information, and we can go from there. I don't know how much longer we'll have this line open. So That being said, really appreciate it.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you again soon.
Bye.
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 Bye, everybody.
And
Bye.
thank you,
Take care.
ladies and gentlemen. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for participating. You may now disconnect.